them to you guys. It's not that hard to do, but I have to remember to click record. It would be really nice if like our IT department just recorded all the classes automatically, and I didn't have to do it myself. But we're not at that point yet. So unfortunately, what I was lecturing on the last half hour didn't get recorded. So let me highlight quickly what I just went over again so that it's on the recording. The entrepreneurial decision-making environment is characterized, first of all, by four main factors. It's really uncertain. You don't know what the right thing is to do at the right time. You've got to get everything done on a tight timetable. The finances, the marketing plan, the production, the manufacturing, the distribution, it's all got to be done at the same time. There's a lot of time pressure. There's a considerable emotional investment. So you're emotionally very close to your company. You're very proud of what you've done. And a lot of times you make decisions based on your emotions rather than logic. And then finally, there's lots of differences in who has the knowledge that's relevant for your business. Sometimes different expert advisors have it, sometimes suppliers have it, sometimes customers have it. That knowledge for starting the business is not all in one person's head. And then we talked about 3 different ways of entrepreneurial thinking. One was structural thinking, which is basically putting a structure in place and identifying holes in the structure, which represent entrepreneurial opportunities. There's bricolage, which is taking existing resources that you have and applying them to new opportunities. And then what we just got done talking about, effectuation, which is identifying what you're good at, who you know, and what you know, and then starting to talk to customers and experts right away. And your business, the product, the service, the market that you're targeting changes over time as you learn from those people that you're interacting with. So finally, one of the things that I wish I had done a better job at when I got done with my MBA and I started trying to start various companies, I wish I had really practiced how to expand my cognitive ability. The extent to which you are dynamic, flexible, and self-regulating, and engaged in generating multiple decision frameworks for sensing and processing changes in your environment. So basically, how broadly can you think? How many different decision-making structures can you apply that to? And how quickly can you get yourself to do the homework and the steps that it takes to be able to realize opportunities. So I've got a cognitive adaptability test, which we're going to come back to on Thursday. I'm going to have everybody fill it out, and we'll talk a little bit about what you're good at, what you're not so good at, and how to improve the things that you're not so good at so you become a better entrepreneur in the future. Some of the kinds of questions that are on this test, there's basically comprehension questions, connection tasks, strategic tasks, and reflection tasks. So comprehension questions, you're asking things like, what is the market all about? What is the product all about? What do we want to achieve? What are the key elements to pursuing an opportunity? You're asking big picture questions about what do I think about the entire software market, or what do I think about the entire like menu of food that I have to offer for my restaurant. You're thinking about big picture and what it all means, basically. Connection tasks is trying to compare one situation to another. So it's taking a look around you in your current entrepreneurial environment and asking yourself, how similar is this to other situations I've been in? Is it different? How is it different? How is it similar? And based on how it's similar to other environments or other decision-making situations I've been in the past, what can I apply from my past experience to the current decision? Strategic tasks. How can the implementation of this strategy be made feasible? So this is kind of where the rubber meets the road. Cognitive ability. How well are you able to go from thinking about an abstract opportunity to applying how it would actually be implemented? It's another type of cognitive task that some people are more flexible, more skilled at than others. And then reflection tasks. What are the difficulties we're going to have in convincing investors? How will we know success when we see it? So instead of asking big picture questions about the whole product or the whole market, instead of asking implementation questions about how am I actually going to do a certain activity, these are thinking about next steps. So based on everything I know about an opportunity, what's really going to be important for convincing investors? This, I think, for the internet music business that I was a part of in Hamburg, I don't think we did a very good job of reflecting on what success looked like. In those days, success was to get bought by Yahoo. Like we were never going to be able to deliver our product directly to consumers because they didn't have enough bandwidth in their internet connections. So we had all kinds of cool videos, cool music, cool products, and you couldn't really watch them very well because the speed was too slow on DSL connection, on IDSN. What was it IDSN? Basically, before broadband, there was no, not it's a term for the kind of cable that was going into your house. But anyway, the bandwidth was too slow. So what we really should have been thinking about was how do we put together really cool content and then get bought by a company like Yahoo or Google, who is eventually going to be able to offer our content when the market becomes profitable. So we should have been asking things like, what does success look like? And that answer to that should have been, success is that bigger companies find our content valuable, not whether customers do or not. So those are some other cognitive tasks that you want to be good at as an entrepreneur. So on Thursday, we'll dive into these cognitive tasks a little bit more. I'll have you guys fill out a little survey, like I said, and we'll discuss in class how to be better, how to get better at various areas in your cognitive ability where you may not be as good as you'd like to be. That is my first slide presentation I wanted to go through about different ways of entrepreneurial thinking. The second thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is entrepreneurial intentions and self-efficacy. So the first PowerPoint was all about different ways of thinking as an entrepreneur. This set of slides is about who are you as an entrepreneur. What are your plans for implementation, and what do you know, what do you believe about your own abilities? So it's not so much the actual knowledge, it's how confident do you feel in your abilities to apply that knowledge as an entrepreneur. So intentions and efficacy. Like we all came up with lots of cool ideas in here. We had them all on the board. We've talked about them. We're going to talk about them a lot more. We're going to be working on them in groups. This whole semester is going to be about new entrepreneurial ideas. But obviously, some people end up starting successful companies and other people don't. You know, not everybody in this class is going to leave this class with a new business they started. It may just be the class project, and that's all it ever becomes. And some people will probably leave this class and go ahead and start the businesses that you're planning on starting. And the question is, what's the difference in those two, the ones that start businesses and the one that don't? So the first, there's two questions. There's two questions to ask oneself about your intentions for starting a new venture: desirability and feasibility. So first of all, do you perceive an opportunity? And this basically goes back to those different ways of entrepreneurial thinking: structural thinking, bricolage, effectuation. Bless you. Do you see an opportunity? So the first thing in whether you start a new business or not is how good is the opportunity? How well did you do your homework on the structural thinking? So the more strongly you believe that there's an opportunity, the more likely it is that you're going to start a new business. Feasibility. What behaviors are required to pursue the opportunity, and can I do them? This is a concept that we'll talk a little bit more about in these slides. It's the concept of entrepreneurial self-efficacy. And it's how strongly you believe that you're capable of doing the things that are necessary to start the business. So do you believe that you can really do the selling? Do you believe that you really can write up the financials? Do you believe that you can do the accounting? Do you believe that you're able to manufacture the product? If you feel like you're capable of doing these things, then you're more likely to start the business. If you don't feel like you have the right skill sets, then you're going to be less likely to start the business. Age, education, and work history. There's three things that tend to contribute to higher entrepreneurial self-efficacy, higher belief in yourself about the ability to be successful as an entrepreneur. One of them is just reaching the right age so that you have the right amount of experience, resources, and energy. Most entrepreneurs start their first business sometime between the age of 22 and 45, and the highest number of startups is in your early to mid-30s. And the reason for that is by the time you're 30 years old or 32, 33, you've had some work experience, you've had experience doing different functional tasks like financial tasks and marketing tasks. You have enough knowledge and experience that you feel competent to be able to run a business yourself. When I started my first business, I was 32. So exactly what the book says. was the age I was, and it wasn't because I got to that number and then decided, okay, I'm old enough to start a business. You need to have a certain amount of experience in order to feel comfortable in managing a business, and sometimes it takes a few years to develop that. General experience from education. So if you have the chance to practice entrepreneurial skill sets, and both in this class and in my small business management class, I try and focus on teaching you guys those skill sets and giving you the chance to practice them. The more that you practice the skill sets, the higher your belief in your ability to do them. So product development, guerrilla marketing, financial projections, going out and looking for investors. The more you're able to practice those tasks in class, the more belief you have in your ability to be successful with them, the more likely it is that you leave this class and actually start a business. And then finally, specific experience from work history. This kind of goes back a little bit to prior experience and how the knowledge that's important to start a venture is not all in one person's head. It's in different people's heads. Some of the information is in one person's head, some of the information is in another person's head. One of the reasons that is because if you spend a certain number of years in this particular industry, you tend to develop confidence and understanding of the way procedures in that industry work. So you both have confidence in your ability to do the things in that industry, and you also know enough about the industry to recognize recognize opportunities, recognize structural gaps where things aren't getting done, or to find new opportunities to apply existing resources to. So I started my first business in the music industry, and I worked in the music industry for like 4 years before I started that business. So I spent enough time so I felt like I know how to do things in the music business, and then I went out and started a business. So being the right age, so just you're generally in life you've had enough experience to feel comfortable running a business. The opportunity to practice the various skill sets that you need to practice as an entrepreneur, and having work experience in the industry that you want to go into are all factors that make it more likely that you're going to actually start your business. And then role models and support systems. Very important for building your belief in yourself, building your ability to actually stick with the company and not give up when things get tough, are role models and your support network. So first of all, when you see other people that who are similar to you and they've started new business ventures, you're more likely to believe that you can do it too. So that's one of the big reasons why I had you talk to expert advisors in this class, so that you can see that there's people who have been successful doing the kinds of things you guys want to do they've been successful doing it, and they're not that different than you. So you can learn from what they did and model after that to start your own business. So it's important to have entrepreneurial role models. It's important to have a professional support network. So support technically when you are inevitably go beyond the work experience you had when you started the venture. So again, going back to expert advisors and also key customers and key suppliers, and the idea of prior knowledge. No matter how much you know about a certain industry, no matter how good you are at the different tasks that are necessary to be an entrepreneur, no matter how much experience you have in life in general, and no matter how many role models you have to pattern after, there's going to come a day when how to do the finances or how to come up with the next step in manufacturing or how to reach out and find the next level of investors, there's going to be a point at which your expertise is, you don't have the knowledge anymore that you need. And it's really important to have a network of other business professionals who can give you advice for the areas that you're not very good at professionally. So very important that you have expert advisors that you can talk to that can give you technical advice as you go forward with the business. And then finally, a moral support network. It's important that you have emotional support when you have problems and failure in the business and you need to persevere. So it's so important that your spouse is on board with starting. Like, if you want to start a business and your spouse doesn't want you to start a business, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well for the relationship or the business. So you need, or if your friends, if none of your friends believe that your business is going to work, then you don't have anybody to talk to on a regular basis to tell you that it's going to be okay. Because there's going to be a lot of times when you tried your best and you did everything you possibly could and you still don't have any customers. And it feels like you've wasted all your time and you're never going to be able to be successful, and the whole world is dark and gloomy. And it's times like that where you really need a moral support network that's going to tell you that it's going to be okay, that you do have the ability, that just keep trying, and eventually you're going to be successful. So also, to increase your intentions and your self-efficacy, it's important to have a good moral support network. So those were the basic slides that I wanted to go through. I'm curious to go back through a couple of things here. So, structural thinking. Let's do a brief exercise of structural thinking here in this class. So, I'm interested in superficial versus structural similarities. We've got, let me see here. So, event planning, organic food, youth sports, swimwear online, beer delivery service. I'm looking through the ideas that you guys had for businesses. Let's talk about the event planning company for a second. So, first of all, who do you think the obvious customers are for an event planning company?
Brides.
Huh?
Brides.
Brides, yep. Let me get my pen out here. Brides. Who else? Who else needs event planning?
Pregnant women.
Huh?
Pregnant women.
Pregnant women? Why is it?
Baby showers.
Okay. Okay. Who else?
Birthday celebrations.
What's that?
Birthday celebrations.
Birthdays? Yep.
Corporations.
Hang on one second. What was that again?
Corporations.
Corporations, okay.
Graduation.
What's that?
Graduation.
Okay, hang on. What else? Any other obvious?
High school dances.
Okay. Anything else?
New position.
Huh?
New position.
New position?
Like hiring someone.
Actually, I might want to put this under structural similarities. So explain to me more why this is a good customer.
Like if someone he got hired under the CEO, they would do admin. And they would invite all the employees probably. Set a meeting and we go from there.
So, like HR.
Yeah.
HR departments, maybe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How about structural similarities? What else could an event planning company do that, besides these obvious things of planning events? So an event planning company has people that are very enthusiastic and friendly, good customer service ability. They have good contacts with various locations around town. They have good knowledge of the prices of all kinds of different decorations and rental things like chairs and desks and projectors. They have very good knowledge of the prices of all those things. What else could they be good at that might not be obvious? Yes?
They should be good at working with people's budgets because not everyone has the same budget.
Hang on one second. So say again, they should be good working with people's budgets? What do you mean?
For example, for a wedding, someone can have a higher budget and someone different can have a lower budget for their wedding. So they should be able to, depending on their budget, have a specific like rentals or something for them.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on their budget, like if this bride is willing or couple is willing to spend more, then their wedding is just gonna have more expensive stuff maybe or more elegant stuff. And then this other couple, they can also have like elegant stuff but not as expensive. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does make sense, but I think that's more of a service that they offer to the obvious customers. I want to talk about a non-obvious customer. Yes.
And maybe more like organization and time management.
Okay. Why do you think that would be a good one?
Simply because when you do have an event, you have to just talk to vendors, you have to talk to any type of food that you're going to have at the location, any type of rentals, especially for day of event, you have to make sure that the day goes smoothly for whoever is going to
Mm-hmm.
service.
So maybe consulting for time management organizations is a non-obvious one. Please.
Like sales or customer service?
Huh?
Sales or customer service?
Okay. So the same skill sets that make them good at interacting with all the different kinds of people who have events they want to do, the friendliness to talk with all the different venues would make them good at selling almost anything, right? They could switch to selling TVs, and they still have some of the same skills. Okay. Any other examples of a structural similarity? Yes.
Locations and places.
Huh?
Locations and places.
Okay. What do you mean?
I mean, if they need to rent a golf course or something like that, they will deal with these people.
Huh?
They will
Sorry,
know-
say again.
They will. They need to rent a location or all places. They will know about it and they will deal with it.
Okay, so who else needs to know about locations and places other than people that are having events?
The people who are planning the events.
The places could be used for something else, not just parties.
Okay.
Restaurants, like they could rent them out to something else.
So maybe real estate advice, commercial real estate advice. Like some of these locations might have other uses besides being party. At least hang on one second. Okay, yes.
Since they're like used to like, working under pressure as like weddings are so hectic and such, then they could be like arbitrators or like mediators,
Mm-hmm.
since they have good temper and vision.
Okay. So again, like they have good sales skills that they could use for any kind of selling. They can use their negotiation skills for any kind of negotiation, right? Or mediation. Cool. How about role models and professional support network? Who do you guys in here have in mind that you want to be either a role model for you or an expert that can give you advice on different things in different industries? So let's talk about let's use a different example. Knife. Where's Knife? The organic food company that you were thinking about. What kind of role models do you think you'd like to have for that? Huh? So who would you look up to as a role model for starting an organic food company? Do you know anybody that started one already?
Because I haven't seen organic food.
Say again.
I haven't seen organic food before.
I'm sorry, I still
I
didn't.
haven't seen organic food.
Okay, was that your idea?
Huh?
Wasn't that your idea?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's saying he hasn't seen anyone over there do it, so I think
Okay,
he doesn't know room.
got it. What were you gonna say?
People that started the organic garden here,
Mm-hmm.
that would be someone really close.
Who else might you want as a role model for starting an organic food company? Yes.
Like the Grims.
Huh?
If we're talking like local, you could talk to the Grimm family.
Uh-huh. What kind of experts might you need to have contacts with as you go forward with starting that business? So where are your knowledge and skills going to run out eventually? Yes. Huh?
Health experts.
Health, yes, yes. What else? Yes.
Master gardeners.
Okay. Yes.
Similar to that, I was gonna say something like aquaculture, just
Mhm.
about soil and seasons of when to plant certain things.
Agriculture industry in general. Yeah, I don't know anything about growing stuff, so I would certainly want, huh?
It's hard.
Yeah, so I would certainly want somebody who can tell me, is it too much water, too little water, are the nutrients not right, what's going on with the plants? What kind of other expert advisors might be good? Yes.
I mean, I guess, like, how you would ship it over there. I mean, he's trying to get, I don't know how, maybe distribution
Mm-hmm.
of the Saudi Arabia, if you started over there, or you distributed over there.
Yep. Anything else you guys can think of? Say again? Wholesale buyers, okay. Depending on where you want to, what kind of customer market you want to focus on, you might want to have some key contacts in wholesale. Anything else? I think that's a pretty good list. So, just to recap here quickly, different structural ways of thinking, or different ways of entrepreneurial thinking. There's structural thinking where you identify, where you try and find new markets for existing products, or new products for existing markets, or new products for new markets, and you look at structural similarities versus superficial similarities. So it's basically putting a structure in front of yourself and trying to fill in the blanks. Then there's bricolage and effectuation, which are both similar, a little bit different ways of taking what you already have and just applying it to the solution, applying it to the customers and contacts that you do know, and putting one foot in front of the other. And then the other thing we talked about today was entrepreneurial intentions and self-efficacy, and that's basically focusing on how much experience you have in the industry that you're going to be going into, how much experience or practice you have at the different entrepreneurial skills, like like financial projections and acquiring capital and marketing planning and stuff like that, and how good are role models and experts do you have around you. So the likelihood that you're going to leave this class and actually start the business that you want to start depends on A, how good you are at thinking entrepreneurially to come up with a good idea to begin with, and B, the experience that you're able to develop in this class and outside of class, and the role models and experts that you're able to put yourself in touch with. So that was today's focus. On Thursday, we'll do a little quiz. No, it's not a quiz. It's like a survey of what are you good at and what are you not so good at cognitively. And then we'll go through some ways to improve on those things, and we'll talk a little bit about your LinkedIn profiles and professional plans. So see you guys on Thursday. Hi. Huh? Yes.